Let me try this for like the 5th time. Hi guys, my name is Kat. I'm a registered dietitian and online nutrition coach, and today is a collab. I have never done a collab on YouTube before, so I am super excited about this. This collab is with Amanda MC. She is a nurse, a registered nurse. She actually used to be with BeachBody as a BeachBody coach, and so now she educates people on her experience and also some of the interesting information coming out of BeachBody as well as other MLM companies. So in this video, we decided to watch and discuss, chat about an information video from a BeachBody coach and just talking about some of the claims that were said in that video and things of that nature. This is part 1 of the video. Part 2 is actually on her channel. It should be up by the time that this video is up. So once you're done with this video, go ahead and go over there and be sure to subscribe to her. And yeah, that's it. All right, let's go ahead and just jump in. Also, everything in this video is 100% our opinion and for entertainment purposes.
Thank you, Kat, for coming on to YouTube with me, collaborating with me.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
You're the first.
Really?
Yeah, I've never done one
nice.
before.
Okay, well, this is...
I have a couple other ones planned, but we just haven't scheduled a time yet.
Excellent. Well, I'm very happy to that you're agreeable to come on. I was doing lesson 6 of my Becoming a Beachbody Coach series, and then there's like a lot of links. There's like a PowerPoint presentation, all of these different PDF files, this whole thing, and then there's this video that was in it, and I was just like, I had to sell this, what I consider crap, but I, not a dietitian or a nutritionist by any means, and so when we're talking about it, I thought I should probably talk to someone who's more qualified, I feel, to kind of talk about Shakeology with. And the things that this person, this video link, it was part of my lessons. It's like this person saying some interesting things, and I'd like to have a licensed professional registered dietitian talk about it with me. I thought of you.
Yay!
You did such a good job covering the Shakeology in the past and Beachbody stuff and Herbalife and Arbonne. I was just like, I gotta get Kat on here.
I think that when you sent me this one and I watched through it first before taking any notes, there were a couple of red flags. So I was like, this is good to talk about.
Yeah. And it's an older video, but it's still by this top level coach, and she's still making videos to this day, although I clicked on her, YouTube account, and she's not making as frequent of a result or videos. So I was like, well, that's okay. But if people potentially are still being, because this is a live video, it's not hidden, it's not restricted, that sort of thing. It's a live link. And so people can still find this video on YouTube. People are probably still shown this because it's a very hot topic when people initially get started to try to sell Shakeology.
I think one of the comments.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
I think even the comments, I think there were some that weren't that old, if I recall.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to, even though it is old, I think that it's still appropriate to break down what she's saying, like facts, fiction, myths, misinformation. So
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to mention who she is.
I'm always about editing their faces just because of if they come across it and they kind of want to change their mind and they feel a little bit better about learning. And this community, I feel like, is the purpose of it is to educate and to help people kind of move through it and get out of it to the other side. So
yeah, exactly. So let's get the video started, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Hey guys, so I think one of the biggest things that we deal with as coaches is the comparison game of Shakeology compared to something else. And the other day, someone asked in our coaching group how to kind of compare, and are there comparison charts comparing it to the same costs as fast food or something that someone would be already spending money on. Those are great. But when I posted, I actually posted one, Shakeology compared to McDonald's, and I almost wanted to delete it because comparing just cost and switching out, their McDonald's meal with Shakeology doesn't give them the whole picture of what Shakeology is. All it's doing is comparing a price, and that's not going to be enough to convince them that this is something they need. And
so I wanted to stop that there because of her. This is about how to compare Shakeology, and so she's talking about a lot of comparing. And so my note was, but do people really need Shakeology? And I think that that's one of the things that I want us to dissect.
Yeah. And I know this was just with my history and everything. This was something that is taught in this industry of, making sure that you have the information so that you're able to, the words are kind of escaping me right now, but just be able to kind of like arm yourself with comebacks, essentially, when people do have concerns and they're like, that's really expensive.
Yeah.
I don't really need that.
Can you tell the viewers a little bit about your credentials before we get too much further into the video?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
No, I was just like, wait a minute.
We just started talking as if we've always talked and we've never talked before. So my name is Kat. I'm a licensed and registered dietitian nutritionist and online nutrition coach. And so what that means basically is that I have a degree in nutrition and then did the supervised practice the whole year with that, and then did the exam and then have licensure in multiple different states so that I can legally practice and do medical nutrition therapy with clients, patients, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a registered nurse, and so I've had to take like nutrition courses, but I know a lot about body functions and everything, and health is a big, huge, obviously, aspect of my career and education. And so when we look at health and fitness companies, I just try to come at it from a more informed and educated, I guess, perspective. And is this really necessary, especially since I was involved in one of these health and fitness MLMs, just to look at, what are the
same.
Yeah, is it necessary? What are the implications for the general population and everything?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I like that and as a registered nurse, and I worked in the hospital a lot for many of those years in my 10 years of working as a nurse, we really heavily relied on registered dietitians to come in, do their evaluation on our patients, look at the calories, look at their weights, look at their medications. I mean, it's very important work. TUFEs, yes, and TPN.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have a very important job when it comes to healthcare and our patients. So thank you so much for all of you going through that school.
Thank you too.
It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of work. It's looking at the whole picture.
And that's actually one of the reasons I think why I like talking about these companies and these products, because I think it takes all of the science out sometimes and it just reduces it down to this kind of health cheerleader kind of approach. And that's what nutrition coaching looks like, when in reality it's so much more. It can get so much more in depth. And
it's a lot. It's a lot. So you guys do very important work. And so thank you very much for being here.
You too. Absolutely.
Let's get along with the video.
And so here's the deal. We have to understand that comparing the fast food to Shakeology is comparing apples to oranges. Comparing Shakeology to a weight loss shake like the GNC Lean Shake or Advocare or whatever it is apples to oranges. So if you're just comparing, if you see these comparison charts out there that say this one has this many calories and this one has this much fat and carbs and everything like that, you never see the ingredients. That's the most important part. And if the people are coming to you interested in Shakeology, they need to understand how important having clean, whole ingredients is instead of a bunch of crap. So when you see those comparison charts, people are going to say, well, Shakeology has more carbs than this shake, because people are so, narrow-minded on the carbs and the content of the calories and everything like that. When you're comparing those, that's what they're going to focus on. They're going to say, well, Shakeology has more carbs. Well, the reason it has more carbs is because it's actually meant to keep you full for a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours, but it's also carbohydrates from good, whole, nutritious foods, almost like if you were going to have an apple or banana or something like that. The same thing with sugars. People will say, oh, Shakeology has 8-9 grams of sugar. You cannot compare the grams, because if you go get another shake and pick it up and it has less than a gram of sugar, but it's loaded with crap and soy protein or things that we know our bodies are not good at having and digesting, then they're not comparing the right things. So you need to.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on that?
I just
said a lot.
Yeah. So some of the things that stood out to me, well, one, we can utilize soy protein. And so by just saying that, having things that we know our bodies are not good at having and digesting, like, not sure where that came from. But I see the idea, what she's like talking about. And I think there's some good to that, right? Like, we need to look at kind of what the foods that we're choosing. At the same time, there's a lot of this kind of food morality that I'm getting from her messaging, and this kind of like clean, and throughout the video, she'll say clean so many more times, and crap as well. And that's just something that I really don't agree with, as far as when you're talking about behavior change and when you're talking about that sustainability piece and taking food out of the kind of good and black kind of categories as all or nothing, and really seeing them as neutral and looking at them within the context. And so I feel like when we're able to actually look at the food in the context, we're able to approach it with that curiosity, that compassion, and also overall, what is going to help us in that moment? What is the immediate benefit of that food or meal or snack? And so just kind of blindly saying how the way that she is approaching it, I just don't really think that's really empowering around food choices.
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely getting the vibe that Shakeology equals good. And then, there's a ton of other foods she talks about that are like, oh, those aren't good. But it's like, food is fuel.
And it's so much more.
But yeah, it means so much more. Yeah. And I had a question, because she talks about like the carbs, like Shakeology having more carbs than other, shakes. And obviously we do have to look at, well, what are those contents of those carbohydrates? But she said that, it keeps you fuller. It's designed to keep you fuller. I could be wrong, but I have learned just through, many different sources. I just think it just kind of like seeped into me like I was like a sponge,
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought that the higher the protein, the higher the fat, the more satiated you are. Now, and fiber can keep you fuller longer and also helps with digestion and everything. But well, all the foods do. But
I got you though. Gut microflora, digestion wise, absolutely.
The Shakeology, when I was looking at some of the labels, like max fiber content was 3 grams. Like, is there any truth to what she's saying about just it simply having more sugars or more carbs does mean that it keeps you fuller longer?
Yes. So I think she was kind of getting that confused with the protein, because that is the number one satiating macronutrient. And so whenever like I'm talking with an athlete or a client and we're talking about the immediate benefits of the macros, we always talk about carbs being that quick source of energy. Some of them digest quicker than others. And depending on the fiber, it can help definitely with feelings of fullness. But that protein is really what's going to help you to feel satisfied as you're eating the meal. Because you can have a meal that's full of carbohydrates, even high fiber carbohydrates, and still not really feel that satisfied feeling unless you add some protein to it. And then adding fat to it, even more so. I always explain it as fat takes you from one meal to the next, or like one meal to the next snack. It just really helps to kind of keep you feeling full. And that's why we have all of them together in a meal. We don't need to cut any of them out. They all have their own specific pros.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that really stood out to me too, of her talking about the carbs and having that. And I think she talks about it a little bit more later. I don't know if you want to cut this part out, but I think she talks more about like the hamburger. Do you want to just continue on?
Yeah, I think she goes into that a lot later on in the video, going back to the hamburger.
You need to focus on the ingredients. That is the most important thing you need to be looking at, not only with shakes and comparing things, but the food that we eat. We know by doing the programs that we do, like the 21-day fix and our clean eating groups, we read labels. We don't want to focus on just the calories and the carbohydrates and the fats and the proteins and everything like that. We also don't want to be comparing Shakeology to lesser quality things in such a way, because when we sit there and we compare Shakeology to a protein shake, for example, just a protein shake, say it's a weight loss protein shake, and that protein shake has 26 grams of protein, and it also has a weight loss ingredient in it that's supposed to speed up their metabolism or whatever it is. And then we have Shakeology over here that has less protein. If you're marketing it as a protein shake, people are going to say, okay, well, this has more protein, so I'm actually going to go with it, and it's less expensive. So you have to think about how you're marketing it. If you're marketing it as a meal replacement, you need to make sure that you're talking about why it's a meal replacement for you. It's not because it's made to be a meal replacement. Shakeology becomes a weight loss shake and becomes a meal replacement because of how full it makes us feel, because of the ingredients that it has in it. It finally gives our body all of the minerals and nutrients it's been wanting and needing, and it tells your body, hey, I'm full, go ahead and get rid of all the extra toxins and everything that's in our body, and now I don't feel full. My brain's not signaling that I'm hungry. If we were eating a completely clean diet, this is how I talk to.
Okay, so before she goes into how she's talking, let's unpack that.
I wrote this down word for word so that I could make sure that I was not putting any words in her mouth. Do you want me to, can I say it? Okay, so it finally gives our body all the minerals and nutrients it's been wanting and needing. And it tells your body, hey, I'm full. Go ahead and get rid of all the extra toxins and everything that's in our body. And now I don't feel full. And I think she meant now I don't feel hungry. My brain's not signaling that I'm hungry. There's a lot to unpack there. And with the first thing, talking about how it gives our body all the minerals and nutrients it's been wanting and needing. Everybody's at a different place. And just to blanket state that this specific item is giving you all the minerals and all the nutrients it's been wanting and needing you just can't do that. That's not how science works.
And there's so many different ingredients in Shakeology that it's just like, how is the body, necessarily needing all of that stuff?
Right.
Also that detox statement.
Yes. It tells your body, hey, I'm full. Go ahead and get rid of all the extra toxins. Like your body doesn't say, hey, I'm full. Now let's get rid of the toxins. Like that's not how it works. And I didn't
learn that in my physiology class.
Right? Right? Like it can even get rid of the liver and kidney can get rid of toxins when you're hungry and when you're not full. But that's just, I think she was trying to say that it gives your body what it needs to be able to detox, which we know is not the case. We just need water, sleep, and general nutrition. We don't need to have a specific kind of superfood shake to have our bodies go through detoxing. That's very normal.
Yeah. And just to clarify with the viewers, like detox is a very good hype word for a lot of companies, but our bodies are fully equipped unless you have had some sort of complication, like a medical complication, or maybe you donated a kidney or had to lose a kidney because of a condition, or maybe you have like a complication with your liver. A regular functioning human body is fully equipped to detoxify the toxins on its own, right? It doesn't need a supplement.
Yes.
Or a special supplement or special food to do the job that it is fully 100% equipped to do.
Right. Yeah. And even when I was working in the hospital, when people would come in for detox, it was because of alcohol related issues. It wasn't just kind of detox. I want a detox kind of thing.
Yeah. And I actually worked on a unit at one of the hospitals that I had worked at where we had an inpatient well, at the hospital on one of the floors, there was actually a detox program for substance abuse, but the patients had to be on our medical surgical unit to medically detox, get through the first 72 hours of medical detox before going into the program, because we had to go through all of the DTs or potential for DTs, and all of the uncomfortable side effects when you're going through acute detox of whatever substance you're abusing. And it was pretty dangerous a lot of the times, but most of the time,
medical detox is a real thing. That's
a real thing. It's not fun. I feel so bad for those people they're in that position in the first place, but then to go through something so physically uncomfortable. But a lot of the times it was a lot of adult babysitting, because we had to give them medications to kind of ease them into the detox. Another point that she kind of made, because that was a little bit of a long stretch, was that she was talking about the advertising, like and I don't know if it's something that you have experience with or personal experience with the MLM you're involved in, but we have to market it as meal replacement versus a protein drink.
Yes.
I would agree that, well, it had protein in it, so it could, maybe I'm wrong, but it could qualify as a protein drink because of the amount of protein it was in. But
there's no actual definition of a protein, and so because of it having higher carbs, that's why you would say it's a meal replacement, even though to me, I would not consider a meal replacement unless you add things to it. As we were mentioning, the fat before, that really helps us to feel full from one meal to the next. And so if somebody ever does want to have any kind of meal replacement shake for a variety of reasons, because there are definitely times and
conveniences.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we just always make sure that there's enough protein in there, there's enough carbs in there, and then there's also fat in there, which isn't really a shelf stable kind of thing when you're talking about meal replacement shakes. And so you usually have to add it in. And that's for all of the different companies that have gone through Herbalife, Plexus, Isagenix, all of them.
And the caloric content, and probably because it doesn't have much fat content, but the caloric content is pretty abysmal. For what I would consider a meal replacement, maybe a snack replacement.
It's a snack, yeah.
Yeah, definitely not. You would have to add things in it, and a lot of Beachbody coaches do, they promote these recipes that they make with the Shakeology, and they're always adding things in it. Which is then in turn, it's just so you're just, which is, I don't think it's harmful to add things in it, but it's
No.
you really want to, I guess, lose weight or say that Shakeology is your daily dose of dense nutrition is what they call it, then what's the need to add all of these extra stuff?
Right, to make it taste good.
Yeah, to make it taste good, to actually make you, I don't know.
Feel full,
because you're getting enough calories when you add things in.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever feel full when you were drinking them?
It's hard to say. It was so long ago.
There's also that mind kind of thing. I'm full, I'm posting it. This is working.
Yeah. And when I was working the long 12-hour shifts at the hospital, it definitely was good for in between a quick break to kind of just get me to dinner. But
like a snack.
Yeah, exactly. I always considered it a snack, or I would have it before or immediately after working out, pre or post workout. Okay, so let's move on.
Okay.
My clients about it. Even if you're eating a completely nutritious diet, or so you think, whole foods, sticking to a meal plan, our foods today in the supermarket, no matter how organic they are, unless they come straight from the farm, even then they're still losing a lot of their nutrients because of all the pesticides and everything in our soil alone, even if a farmer is trying to have a completely organic farm. That apple or that vegetable that you have in your hand has 50% less nutrients than it had 50 years ago because of the way that our things are mass produced now. The apple that you pick up in the store, think about the process it had to go through to get to your mouth. It had to be picked somewhere, probably halfway across the US. It had to be shipped. It sat on a hot truck in the sun. All of those things combined together makes that apple less nutritious. So even if you're eating a clean, healthy diet, you have the apple, your body is still saying, I'm hungry. Your mind is saying, I'm hungry, because it doesn't have all the nutrients and the minerals that it needs. Shakeology gives us that. It makes us feel full. And once our body signals full, it becomes a weight loss shake because we're not overeating. You can overeat healthy things. And that's what I tell my clients who claim to have a very clean diet. They don't need the Shakeology. They watch their portions. I'll call bluff, because even if you're eating a completely nutritious diet like I was before I started Shakeology, you're still missing out and you're overeating healthy foods and you probably don't realize it. And that leads to weight gain, just as eating a cheeseburger is going to lead to weight gain. Those macros, the carbohydrates, the extra calories you're taking in from a handful of almonds is going to have you put on weight if you're still hungry and signaling hungry all the time. Not to mention,
okay, I'm sorry. Stop her right there.
No. Oh my gosh.
There's a lot in that. I mean,
There was, yeah.
I think people can. I mean, if their goal is to lose weight, yeah, absolutely. You can overeat on healthy foods, because it's all about, if you want to lose weight, being in a caloric deficit. But the whole clean eating and then going into the apple. What were your thoughts on that? Because
just saying that because we don't have all of the minerals and nutrients, that is the reason why we're hungry. That's not how hunger works. Like, I was actually looking at, this was from the annual review of physiology. There was a published paper in that journal, and it was called The 3 Pillars for Neural Control of Appetite. And so it was talking about what are the neurological mechanisms that control appetite. And none of them were about nutrient, like mineral intake. We have our appetite for different reasons. So yeah, there is that. And
yeah, I was going to say, and a lot of it's hormone based.
Right.
And I think there's like a new one that they found that I think is leptin, I believe.
Well, leptin, yeah.
Leptin,
and like ghrelin and leptin, yeah. So like ghrelin, your hunger hormone, and leptin, kind of that fullness hormone, if that one's a little bit lower. And so that's something that we can even see when there's chronic inadequate sleep, inadequate with the amount and also quality. We start to feel a little bit more hungry. Our ghrelin levels can be a little bit off. Same thing with leptin. And then of course, also low blood sugar, that can stimulate your appetite. And even seeing food, smelling food, that's another one that can stimulate appetite. So yeah, nothing really with the minerals.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in a like third order kind of thing, because everything is connected within the body, but just to say that blatantly, not so sure about that.
Yeah. And so let's say hypothetically her comment about needing enough vitamins and minerals was true. Like, let's say that does trigger hunger. Would Shakeology be the optimal thing to buy then? Or would we be able to just take a multivitamin,
right?
Yeah, in it, and get far less expensive than Shakeology?
Exactly.
Call ourselves good, like.
Right. So, like, I don't even know the bioavailability of Shakeology, and to my knowledge, there's not any research. Kind of taking the blood levels of all of the nutrients in there, and kind of seeing, is it really bioavailable? And then on top of that, and I know we'll talk about this a little bit later, but just to kind of flat out say that, promoting it to everybody, it's not for everybody. And it can be really not helpful for certain people, especially with some digestive issues going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then she mentioned about the nutrient depletion that we see. What did she say? Like an orange has 50% less?
The apple has 50% less nutrients today than it did 30 or 50 years ago, and then it goes through all of this processing. So by the time you have it in your hand, it's less nutrient.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. And I felt like that she was a little condescending when she's saying, like, well, and I call bluff to my clients who say that they eat this healthy diet and all this stuff, because it's like, and I went over this in my clean eating, my running a clean eating group lesson, is like, you were supposed to be promoting like this clean eating, like good and bad food, reading the labels and drinking a lot of water. But, you know, she's basically saying like, but that's not enough. Like, you need to drink Shakeology. I feel like there's just this huge ulterior motive to just constantly tell people, no, but you're not complete. You might be eating all these healthy things and being active, but you're not complete until you have Shakeology. And it's just a big commercial. Yeah. It's everything kind of circles around to you need Shakeology. And I personally don't think that that's true at all.
No.
Or professionally, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. And then a little bit about, so I've heard a lot of different companies talk about that specifically, that point to where food or specifically fruits and vegetables have less nutrients in them than they did 50 years ago. And there is some truth to that, but I really wanted to see like, what are they sourcing? Like, what are they citing? Where's their source? That's something that we always need to be aware of whenever we hear claims regarding nutrients and health overall and nutrition. And so there was a study it's in PubMed. It's called The Changes in USDA Food Composition Data for 43 garden crops from 1950 to 1999. So it's a while. It's been a little while since it came out. It came out in 2004. And so they looked at 43 different foods, and they saw declines in calcium, potassium, iron, riboflavin, and ascorbic acid, so vitamin C. But then the conclusions were that we suggest that any real declines are generally most easily explained by changes in cultivated varieties between 1950 to 1999, in which there may be trade-offs between yield and nutrient content. And fruitandveggies.org, I believe it is, that was kind of the updated 5-a-day kind of program. Their answer to fruits and vegetables, are they less nutritious? They give a really good explanation. And they said that plants can easily be bred for higher nutrition if there were a need. One can argue that while old versus new data may show nutritional composition differences, it likely isn't nutritionally significant. For example, whether a half cup of peppers contains more than the current 140 milligrams vitamin C isn't really that important when only 75 to 90 milligrams per day is needed by the body in the first place. Seed breeders today have to balance already very nutritious fruits and vegetables with other factors that are also important to consumers, like improved plant disease resistance, so less use of pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides. Also increased plant productivity, resulting in less expensive food, increased plant stress tolerance to manage changes in climate, ultimately resulting in less expensive food, more attractive fruits and vegetables to increase a desire to eat them, better shelf life so that it doesn't spoil as fast, and once you get it home and put it in the fridge, resulting in less waste and ultimately less expensive food, or even for better flavor, which increases the desire to eat more. So lots of reasons. And then ultimately not eating enough overall very nutritious fruits and vegetables is much more of a problem than any minor changes in nutritional composition that may or may not have occurred over time.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot to read, but I feel like all of that was very important to know kind of what the context surrounding that specific paper was and what the findings were and kind of why that's happening and why that's not something that is so focused on. Because sometimes people might hear her claim and be like, oh, they're out to get us, like they don't care about our nutrition. Like, I think there's a lot of fear from not understanding all of the different circumstances around food production and everything that we just talked about.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot to unpack, but it sounds like there's pros and cons, and there's a lot of reasons why there's less nutrition in vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
My voice is like
I thought that example though of the peppers, so it might have less, but if your body doesn't need that much in that day, then what does it matter? Can we focus on the other things? Yeah,
there's a lot more to focus on. She's really focusing on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and in the bigger picture of not trying to get into the comparison game of Shakeology and hamburger.
Yes.
That's how she started out. Like, obviously a hamburger is not, I don't know.
I feel like the hamburger there's a whole spectrum of hamburger, of the quality of the protein and even the quality of everything that's on the burger. Like you can make it a very balanced, healthy thing, and you can make it a very like not so great thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not even halfway through. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Our bodies, when we are hungry, kind of go into a fight or flight type scenario, and our hormones can fluctuate. Our adrenals can go all over the place. Cortisol can go up, which means more belly fat. So it's important for us to feel full and energized and make sure our body's getting what it needs. If I'm talking to a client who eats fast food and cheeseburgers, I'm going to explain to them that cheeseburger, even though it might make them feel full for 30 minutes, it's not going to last long because it doesn't have the nutrients and minerals that's going to make your body signal, I'm full, I don't want anything else to eat. They're going to eat that cheeseburger, and then they're going to be hungry in another hour. I mean, how many times?
Can you pause it right there?
Yeah.
I had a cheeseburger last weekend or earlier this week. I was full for so long because it was there was a lot of fat in there. There was a lot of protein in there. There were a good amount of carbs in there with the bun, and it kept me full for a long time.
Yeah, I honestly got that quizzical look when, because I was just like, are you kidding me?
Like
hamburgers are very filling, cheese especially.
Exactly.
I think what, I mean, and I could be wrong, but I think I remember seeing, what was that one documentary about eating McDonald's? The guy ate
Super Size Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and he had like highs, crashes, and then I think the more he ate of like constant fast food, he got hungry for more because it was more, wouldn't it be more related to, I don't want to,
like sodium intake
and the sugars, the hidden sugars and stuff.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
And then you crash, but then also I don't want to say like a sugar addiction because I don't want to spread more misinformation.
Yeah, I think that it
just makes you crave it more, but not necessarily actually being hungry. Right.
Yeah. And if you are mostly getting in really good sources of food, nutrient dense sources of food, having a cheeseburger, a fast food cheeseburger every once in a while, that's not going to like make you hungry. That's not going to make you necessarily crave them anymore.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I'll have one, but it doesn't change the rest of my day or the rest of my week or anything, how I approach food.
Yeah. I mean, I get the, we have In-N-Out over here. And
yeah.
And I'll get like a cheeseburger, and I do it protein style because I don't do gluten, so I don't have the bun. Man, even just without the bun, I'm full because of the quality of meat plus like the cheese. If I do get it with the cheese, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a burger here and there. I just think
it's life.
Obviously, don't have it every single meal of your day. You might have, I don't know,
or even make them at home, right? Like you can make it super lean and have some avocado on top. Like yeah.
My favorite, I would make like a burger, get like a lean ground beef or maybe a turkey burger, and then I would do an egg over easy and then avocado on top.
That sounds delicious.
So good. It still is if you do it
right.
That way. And then you cut into the egg and it oozes.
Yeah. I've never thought of that combination.
It's really, really good. You should do it. It's like having like a breakfast dinner.
That sounds super filling too.
Yeah. Just that with like some water or whatever beverage of choice. I mean, you don't even need fries. Like it was so good.
Right. Yeah. There's still micronutrients.
Tater tots are fun.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah. And there's still micronutrients in there. They're not going to be void of all of the micronutrients. There's still going to be vitamins, minerals in there. Yes. There's other foods that are going to have more, but just to go at it and say that it's not going to have anything and it's going to make you hungry an hour later.
Right. And I think that it's important to remember that you have a whole day of eating food to get your vitamins and minerals and all these other like nutritious qualities to food. So like have the burger,
right?
Because you still have all your other meals. Like you don't need to have everything in that one meal, and definitely don't need to swap out a burger and all of the calories and nutritious content of a burger.
Yeah.
For Shakeology.
I mean, even the iron in there, so good. So yeah.
And I noticed that with some of our iron patients, so I work on an oncology at an
That's right.
oncology center,
Mhm.
and we see a lot of iron deficiency anemias, but we also see a lot of patients with like too much iron or too much like hematocrit levels or ferritin, and we need to do like phlebotomies. And so sometimes we're just like, have you been eating more steak lately? So we're having to do a phlebotomy, or
Like
we,
relax on the steak.
yeah. Or we'll have some patients that say like, I decided to go vegan or try, more vegetarian lifestyle or try this vegan lifestyle. And now we're having to give them more iron infusions because they're not supplementing enough. So sometimes, I don't know where I was getting with that, but we can see it clinically,
Yeah.
there are deficiencies sometimes. And so like, have the burger if it's going to give you enough iron.
Right.
Unless you're like obviously morally opposed to eating, like obviously, but it's important to supplement.
Yeah.
I just don't think that Shakeology is an adequate source of supplementation.
It's not this thing for everybody. It's not going to be appropriate for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that concludes the first part. The second part of the video, it's going to be on Amanda's channel, which is linked down below. I'm sure you want to finish it out, so I'm going to go ahead and let you do that. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and that's it. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.